Hey everybody, it's Daniel here from InfoRest. Hope you're all doing well. So you may have heard about the tensions between India and Canada, right? Where Trudeau came out recently, announced concerns about killing of a Sikh Canadian citizen on Canadian soil, and blaming India, that India had something to do with this. Tensions that may have had between this individual and India, and very concerned that this killing happened on Canadian soil. So you could read more about it if you just Google it and search. If you don't know much of what's going on, I'll maybe leave a link in the description so you could read up on it. But I want to look at the economic side of things, right? Here on this story, and why this could be important for Canadians, right? As tensions already rise between the West and the East, right? As we already know, and as we've been talking about from, the U.S. tensions, trade tensions with China, right? The West versus the East, right? The issues with Russia and Ukraine, Russia invading Ukraine. And, now you have also Saudi Arabia, who is cutting production, causing oil prices to go up. And you have Russia favoring, China, exporting oil to China at very cheap prices. So you can kind of see there's like this coalition happening on the east side of things. And then the west side of things, there's tension between the west and the east. And already China being a very big country and an influence on the world, the fact that there is tension between the west and the east, right? When you look at also issues around Taiwan, U.S. Informing China that you better not, do anything with Taiwan, try to invade or what have you, in China slapping back, saying that Taiwan is part of China, you can't do anything, you better not visit Taiwan, etc. I've been covering this on this channel for some time. Now you have an added tension between Canada and another very big a trading partner, or you could say an ally among some of the West, is India, right? And Canada having tensions with India just doesn't make things better from an economic point of view, because India is being seen as, from a lot of the West, especially with the U.S., right? Let's talk about the U.S. India is being really seen as the new country that's going to basically replace a lot of trade activity that U.S. and China has had. And U.S. and Biden has been meeting up with Modi, and you can see the relationships are growing there because of the tensions already between U.S. and China, right? And now with Canada having an issue with India over this conflict, it puts the West, Canada's allies, in a very awkward situation because Canada did reach out to US, UK, Australia, saying that, hey, we need your help on this issue to basically, come and join me in saying that, India is, whatever India is doing is wrong here. However, those countries and those allies kind of stepped back and said that, hey, we're not really going to get involved in this, and actually denied Trudeau and saying that, hey, although you may have something in terms of your intelligence, we may still need more proof, and already we continue to still keep our relationship with India and continue to build that relationship there, because right now where the economy is, the tensions that are happening, there are some countries out there that can't afford to start picking up a fight with India, right? With already the tensions with, China, already the tensions there with also Saudi Arabia, who are cutting production, pushing those oil prices higher, which is also inflationary, and that's why you see in the last Canadian CPI report the inflation numbers came up. So now let's go back to India and Canada and what this means for the Canadian economy. Now, when you look at the trade, exports and imports between Canada and India, it's actually not so big, right? US is a very big trading partner with Canada, and the trading activity, if you look at all the trade that Canada does, it's about less than 1% of the imports coming in from India to Canada, and same vice versa with India or with Canada exporting goods to India. It's about a less than 1%. So in terms of the trade, there could be certain areas that get affected. Like the biggest imports for Canada between India has to do more with packaged pharmaceutical goods. So you can expect pharmaceutical goods around that area to be somewhat affected there. Also gems, jewelry, textiles, machinery. These are some other things that are imported from India to Canada. You can expect some disruption there as well. Is it very big? Like I said, it's less than 1%. There are other trading partners out there that make up a big portion of Canada's imports and exports, aka the US, right? So in terms of trade, I wouldn't see much of an effect other than those areas that I mentioned, like the pharmaceutical goods, the gems, the jewelry, a little bit of an effect there, but not so big. And also it comes down to, where does this tension lead to? Does it escalate? Does it go forward? Or is it put back into the ground and nothing comes out of it, right? But right now you are seeing retaliation between Canada and US, canceling, closing down visas and immigration and whatnot. Canada labeling India as, caution if you're flying over there, and India doing the same thing. It's a just tick for tat kind of thing. But here's the thing I do want to mention. Where it affects Canada, these tensions, is immigration. And Canada, over the past year or two and many years back, have been relying on immigration a lot, right? And that has helped Canada grow its GDP, taxes, right? And most importantly, real estate. Real estate is now a very, very big component in the Canadian economy, in its GDP, in its growth, and in terms of revenue for the government. And the whole plans, right, over the past couple of years, Canada and the Liberals had a plan, and still have this plan, to immigrate a lot of people into the country. And a big portion of those immigrants are Indians. Right? So they had this plan, and I believe they still haven't changed it, and we'll see what happens. There are some disruptions right now where they are coming out and saying, okay, we're now going to slow down the visas, we're going to slow down the immigration, especially immigrants coming from India. So that has come into somewhat of effect, and like I said, this can change, right? This can completely flip, and things go back to being normal in a month or two, if nothing big comes out of it, right? So I think it's very important to assess this and monitor the news and what comes out of this situation. But let's take a scenario where, if this doesn't get better, right, and it gets worse, what happens then to the Canadian economy? Since real estate is a big component, and since immigration is a big component of Canada's growth, and since Indians are a large part of this immigration, and also since we've been hearing a lot of realtors and people out there, saying that, the housing market has slowed in Canada because of the higher rates and higher mortgages, if that's, and they've been saying that we expect millions of people to come into the country, which is going to prop up the real estate market higher. If that's the case and that's what people were expecting, what happens if that doesn't occur? What happens if, you know, the immigration completely gets tied off? What if the relationship gets really worse off, right? What happens to the real estate in Canada? Do we expect a massive crash? That's not what I'm saying, but you can expect the reverse of what everyone was saying, that, hey, immigration is going to save Canada. Immigration is going to save Canada. And, you know, this upcoming recession that we're going to see, immigration is going to create a cushion for those real estate prices to bounce up higher. So if immigration were to basically get derailed here, and number two, Indians who are living right now in Canada and are unable to get a PR or whatever the case may be, or finding it tough to live here with cost of living or etc., decide that, you know, maybe they'll just go back to India or somewhere else. If that also happens and the tensions continue, I think you could expect that that would have an effect on not only the economy, the GDP, and the growth projections, but most importantly, the real estate in Canada, right? Again, I'm not projecting here massive 80-90% crash, be careful, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I'm just saying that, hey, that brings up the issue that immigration is now no more going to be supportive for Canada, right? Now, you could argue that, hey, Daniel, okay, you know, India is not the only country. There could be other countries out there that could support it. True, yeah, for sure. But if that is to happen and they really tighten down on immigration, and then you have this recession that I've been talking about, this demand crunch that I've been talking about on this channel, and like I've said before, I do expect, whether immigration or non-immigration, I do expect my base case of real estate in Canada to see about a 30% decline from the highs, right? And again, 30% decline would still make things unaffordable in Toronto or Vancouver and so on, especially in those cities, right? That is, you know, 30% in terms of percentage, yeah, a big amount, but in terms of the affordability, it would still be create unease for a lot of Canadian citizens in those cities, right? Now, could you see 40%, 50%, and so forth? Depends how bad this recession is. I keep going back to the demand crunch, the unemployment rate skyrocketing. If maybe, you know, we see a depression, right? If those are the scenarios, then yes, we could possibly see much worse correction in the prices in real estate. Again, this is just my humble opinion. I'm no, you know, guru, or I'm no, you know, financial advisor. Please understand, before making any investment advice or financial decision, always consult with a registered investment financial advisor. I'm not one. These are just my projections of reading the news, the economics, looking at the data, and looking at history, that when you see a hard landing recession, it often brings prices down. And yes, even real estate. Nothing, there's no magic asset that's going to survive this, other than your safe haven assets like bonds, gold, and so on, right? But I can see that real estate could be an issue on just the recession itself. And then if you throw this tension, this new wrench that came into this India-Canada tension, if immigration really comes to an halt, right, it would be interesting to see that if that even exacerbates the decline further, right? Because like I was saying, a lot of realtors, a lot of people are anticipating, the builders, the government saying, okay, we're going to go and, you know, we're going to have a, you know, robust immigration. We're going to have a lot of people coming into the country. They're going to get educated. They're going to get jobs. It's going to be great for the economy. Real estate's going to boom, etc., right? But if we don't get that and this tension worsens off, it'll be interesting to see how this plays out with a looming recession around the corner. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment below, subscribe, hit the like button, bell icon to be notified on the next video, and I'll see you guys around. Cheers. Bye.